I still remember the exact moment everything shifted. It was the annual holiday gala at Grant and Whitaker. You know, the kind of event where everyone dresses up, smiles too wide, and pretends the stress of the year disappears under twinkling lights and champagne. The ballroom in downtown Seattle was beautiful that night. Crystal chandeliers, soft jazz playing, tables draped in white linen. I was standing near the bar in my deep emerald dress, holding a glass of sparkling water because I knew I needed to stay sharp. That's when Eliana Voss, Oliver's assistant, walked right up to me. She looked me up and down, slowly, like she was appraising something she already owned. Then she leaned in just enough for the people nearby to hear, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "No wonder Oliver stays late at the office so often. Who'd rush home to that?" The words landed like a slap. A few of the other wives glanced over, then quickly looked away, pretending to check their phones. I could feel the heat rise in my cheeks, but I didn't flinch. Instead, I turned to her, gave the smallest, calmest smile, the kind that doesn't reach her eyes but shows just enough teeth. I stepped closer, close enough to smell her perfume, something expensive and sharp, and I lowered my voice so only she could hear. "That's interesting," I said softly. "I was just thinking about how much Oliver must trust you." She blinked. Her champagne flute paused halfway to her lips. "Excuse me?" With all those late nights, all that access, I kept my tone light, almost gentle. It must feel good, having someone believe in you that completely, even after certain mistakes. Her face did something complicated then. The confident smirk flickered, like a light bulb about to burn out. I leaned in a little more. My voice dropped to a whisper. "Does Oliver know about October 20th? Her eyes widened, just a fraction, but I saw it. "Because I'm wondering," I continued, still so quietly, "if the senior partners know you've been pulling confidential Langford merger documents from his computer after hours." The color drained from her face so fast, it was almost comical. Her glass trembled in her hand, tiny ripples across the champagne. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. I straightened up, full volume again, smiling like I'd just complimented her dress. "Have a wonderful evening, Eliana." Then I turned and walked away toward the bar, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might crack a rib. I ordered a gin and tonic with shaking hands, took one long sip, and waited. Because that one calm question, it wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. I didn't always know how to hold my ground like that. For most of our 10 years together, I was the quiet one, the supportive one, the wife who made sure dinner was warm when Oliver came home late, who listened without interrupting when he talked about depositions and client demands. I taught high school English at a public school in the suburbs, grading essays on Shakespeare, trying to convince 16-year-olds that words could matter more than TikTok. It wasn't glamorous, but it was steady, and it gave me time to notice things. 7 months ago, I started noticing the shift in Oliver. We'd been married long enough that I knew his rhythms the way you know your own heartbeat. Predictable, familiar, comforting. He used to come home tired but present. He'd drop his briefcase by the door, loosen his tie, heat up whatever I'd left in the fridge, and tell me about his day while he ate standing at the counter. Then a quick shower, a kiss on the forehead, and bed. Simple, safe. But around last spring, the pattern changed flavor. He started coming home wired instead of tired. He'd walk in, head straight to the bathroom without a word, shower immediately, like he needed to wash something off before he could even look at me. He'd pick at his food, barely touch it, then sit on the couch scrolling through his phone, his face lit blue, expression unreadable. And then there were the Thursdays. Oliver had never worked late on Thursdays. Thursdays were the day the partners went golfing or took long lunches. The office emptied out early. It was the one night we usually had together. Takeout, a movie, maybe just talking about nothing important. But suddenly, Thursdays became critical deadline nights. He'd text me around 5, "Running late again, love you." No explanation, no apology, just that. I'm not the jealous type, or at least I didn't think I was, but those little changes stacked up like stones in my chest until I couldn't breathe around them. So I did what any rational person would do when they start to feel like they're losing their own life story. I checked the credit card statements. There they were, 3 charges at the Marriott downtown, all on Thursday afternoons, spaced out over 6 weeks. Not huge amounts, but enough to book a room, enough to make my stomach drop. The charges stopped after that, like someone had realized they were being sloppy. But by then, the seed of doubt had already root. I didn't confront him, not yet. Because what if I was wrong? What if it was just stress? What if I accused him and he looked at me with that wounded expression he's so good at, the one that makes me feel small and unreasonable? No, I needed to be sure. That's when I called Harper. Harper Quinn and I were roommates in college, 2 English majors who somehow survived on ramen and bad decisions. She'd gone on to become a private investigator after a brief stint in corporate security. She looked exactly the same as she had back then. Sharp cheekbones, dark hair pulled into a messy bun, reading glasses she only wore when she was thinking hard. We met in her small office above a bail bondsman in a strip mall 40 minutes outside Seattle. The smell smelled like coffee and old paper. She didn't waste time. "You think he's cheating?" she asked, already writing on a yellow legal pad. "I don't know what I think," I admitted. "I just know something is wrong. And his assistant, Eliana Voss, she's been there 3 years. She's good. Too good. They're together a lot." Harper nodded, not judging, just listening. "Give me 2 to 3 weeks. Surveillance, background, digital footprint. We'll see what shakes loose." I left her office that Tuesday morning feeling equal parts terrified and relieved. For the first time in months, I wasn't just waiting for the other shoe to drop. I was going to catch it before it hit the floor. Those 3 weeks felt like the longest of my life. Every day I'd wake up wondering if today was the day I'd learned something I couldn't unlearn. I kept the same routine, grading papers, making coffee, smiling at my students, but inside it was like walking on cracked ice. One wrong step and everything could fall through. Harper called me on a Thursday afternoon. I was in the middle of Target, staring blankly at a display of throw pillows, trying to remember why I even come. My phone buzzed in my pocket and I answered before it could ring twice. "Your husband isn't having an affair," she said without preamble, "at least not a physical one." I leaned against the shelf, the gray pillow still clutched in my hand like a lifeline. I followed him to 4 different late-night sessions over the past couple weeks. 3 times they met at the office after hours, once at a quiet coffee shop near the waterfront. Every meeting lasted 1 to 2 hours, intense talking, no touching, no hotel rooms, just conversation. I exhaled slowly. Relief? Maybe, but the knot in my stomach didn't loosen. "Then what?" I asked. "Here's the interesting part," Harper continued. I ran a deep background on Eliana Voss. Something popped. She paused, letting the words settle. She had a DUI arrest on October 20th, hit a parked car leaving a bar in Bellevue. Blood alcohol, 0.13, well over the limit. Should have been a straightforward prosecution. But the charges didn't just get dropped, they disappeared. The arrest record got sealed, vanished from public databases within 72 hours. I slid down to sit on the floor right there in the home goods aisle. A woman pushing a cart full of Christmas lights gave me a concerned glance and kept walking. "That kind of cleanup takes serious legal muscle, Amelia. The kind of mid-size firm like Grant and Whitaker could provide if they were highly motivated." My mouth went dry. Why would they cover for her? That's the question, isn't it? So I dug deeper, called in a favor with a contact at a rival firm. Harper's voice dropped a little, like she was reading from notes. "Eliana has access most assistants don't. Full password to Oliver's computer so she can handle filings when he's in court. That's normal for a good paralegal. What's not normal? There have been whispers at the firm for about 6 months. Nothing solid enough to take to the Bar Association, but rumors of billing irregularities on a major case, the Langford merger. Hours logged that don't quite add up. Work supposedly done, but maybe wasn't. I closed my eyes. The timeline fits, she said. Eliana's DUI happens in October. The firm makes it vanish. Oliver starts working late with her constantly right around the same time. And those hotel charges you found? They weren't for affairs. I cross-checked the dates against court records. Those were supposed to be out-of-town depositions, but everything was local. He was billing the client for travel expenses that never happened. The pillow slipped from my fingers. So they're both in trouble, I said slowly. That's my read, Harper answered. Mutually assured destruction. She keeps quiet about his fraud, he keeps her employed and shields her from the DUI fallout. But here's the bigger problem, Amelia. She waited until I was ready. If Eliana's been accessing confidential files from his computer, and she has the password, she's there after hours, if anyone finds out, that's a whole different level. Breach of client confidentiality, disbarment territory for everyone involved. I sat there on the cold tile floor, surrounded by holiday decorations, feeling like the world had tilted. This wasn't just a marriage on shaky ground. This was a conspiracy, and I was holding the match. Harper gave me a moment, then asked quietly, "What do you want to do next?" I stared at the throw pillow on the floor. It was soft, safe. I need to wait for the right moment, because if I was going to do this, I was going to do it right. And the holiday gala was coming up in just a few weeks. Public, crowded, full of the senior partners who mattered. Perfect. Harper and I talked for almost an hour that afternoon in Target. By the time I hung up, the store lights felt too bright and the holiday music too cheerful. I left the pillow on the floor. Someone else would have to deal with it. I needed air. I drove home slowly, windows cracked, even though it was December and the Seattle rain was coming down in sheets. I kept replaying her words, mutually assured destruction. It made a sick kind of sense. Oliver had always been the golden boy at Grant and Whitaker. Top billables, smooth with clients, the kind of associate partners whispered about for the next open slot. But the pressure was brutal. Everyone knew it. The Langford merger was a monster. Hundreds of millions on the line. Endless revisions, impossible deadlines. If the hours didn't match the expectations, well, people found ways to make them match. And Eliana, she'd been with him for 3 years. Smart, efficient, always one step ahead. The perfect assistant, the kind who anticipates needs before they're spoken. But that kind of access comes with risks. One password shared, one late-night login, one file opened that shouldn't have been. Harper had said it plainly. She either plays it completely safe or she's taking advantage. My money on the latter. I could picture it too clearly. Oliver, stressed, exhausted, logging phantom travel hours to pad the billables. Eliana, noticing the discrepancies, keeping quiet at first. Then her DUI happens, October 20th, a stupid mistake after one too many drinks. She panics, tells him, and instead of letting her sink, he calls in favors, pulls strings, makes the record vanish. Because if she goes down, she might take him with her. And once the favor's done, the balance shifts. Now they're tied together. She can't expose his fraud without risking her own exposure. He can't fire her without the same risk. So they keep working late, keep meeting, keep talking in hushed voices after everyone else leaves. But the real bomb was the files. If Eliana had been pulling confidential Langford documents, settlement details, partner notes, client communications, that wasn't just unethical. It was criminal. Breach of attorney-client privilege, grounds for disbarment, lawsuits, prison time maybe. And if the firm found out they'd covered up her DUI to keep her quiet, the whole house of cards collapses. I sat in my car in the driveway for a long time that night, rain drumming on the roof, watching the lights in our house come on one by one as Oliver got home. He didn't even notice my car was running. I thought about confronting him right then, marching inside, laying it all out on the kitchen island like evidence in a trial. But what would that get me? Denial? Tears? Promises to change that would last a week? Or worse, he'd turn it around, make it my fault for not trusting him, for snooping, for not being supportive enough during the hardest year of his career. No, I wasn't going to give him that power. Not anymore. I needed leverage, real leverage, the kind that couldn't be talked away or gaslit. And the holiday gala was the perfect stage. It would be packed. Senior partners, their wives, associates, support staff, everyone who mattered would be there. Public enough that no one could make a scene. Intimate enough that whispers would travel fast. I'd spent the next few weeks watching, waiting, collecting myself. Oliver kept coming home late on Thursdays, kept scrolling on his phone in the dark, kept saying he was stressed about work when I asked if everything was okay. We barely touched anymore. The last time we'd been intimate was almost 3 months earlier. I'd tried once after that, reached for him in the middle of the night. He rolled away, muttered something about being too tired. I stopped trying. Lying next to him became like lying next to a stranger. But I wasn't angry, not really. I was calm. The kind of calm that comes right before a storm you've already decided to walk into. I knew what I was going to do. I knew exactly when. And I knew that once I asked that one question, nothing would ever be the same. Because when you hold the truth in your hands like a loaded gun, you don't have to shout. You just have to whisper. The night of the gala arrived faster than I expected. I spent the afternoon getting ready in silence, curling my hair, choosing the emerald dress that hugged me in all the right ways, the one I'd bought months earlier when I still believed things could be fixed with a nice outfit and a smile. I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the woman staring back, not because I looked different, because I felt different. Oliver came home early for once. He showered, put on his charcoal suit, the one that always made him look taller, more in control. He complimented my dress, said I looked beautiful. I thanked him and smiled like nothing had changed. We drove downtown in quiet. The rain had stopped, leaving the city streets glossy under the streetlights. Jazz drifted from the ballroom as we walked in. The place was alive. Hundreds of people, laughter bouncing off the high ceilings, servers gliding with trays of champagne and hors d'oeuvres. I scanned the room instinctively, saw the senior partners clustered near the stage, saw the other wives in their sequins and pearls, and then I saw her, Eliana Voss. She was wearing black, sleek, confident, the kind of dress that says, "I belong here more than you do." She was laughing at something one of the junior associates said, her head thrown back just a little too dramatically. When she spotted me, her smile tightened. I didn't go to her right away. I mingled, talked to Jennifer, one of the other wives, about holiday plans and how the kids were doing. I let the conversation flow around me like water, keeping one eye on Eliana the whole time. She kept glancing my way, then looking away quickly. Good. Let her wonder. Then it happened. I was near the bar, refilling my sparkling water, when she approached. She moved like she owned the floor, shoulders back, chin up. A few people nearby quieted as she stopped in front of me. She looked me up and down again, slower this time. Then she leaned in, voice low but loud enough for the small circle around us to hear. "No wonder Oliver stays so late at the office," she said, lips curling into a smirk. "Who'd want to rush home to that?" The words hung in the air like smoke. A few wives exchanged glances. Someone stifled a laugh. My pulse hammered in my ears, but my face stayed soft. I turned to her fully, met her eyes, and gave the smallest smile. "That's funny," I said, quietly. "I was just thinking about how much Oliver must trust you." She blinked. "What?" "With all those late nights, All that access. I stepped closer, voice still gentle, almost kind. It must feel good having someone believe in you so completely, even after certain mistakes. Her expression flickered, confusion, then a flash of something darker. I leaned in until my words were for her ears only. Does Oliver know about October 20th? Her breath caught. Because I'm wondering if the senior partners know you've been pulling confidential Langford merger documents from his computer after hours. The smirk vanished. Her face went pale so fast it looked like the blood had been sucked out. Her champagne flute in her hand shook, tiny waves across the surface. She opened her mouth, closed it, tried again. Nothing came out. I straightened up, voice back to normal volume, smiling like we'd just exchanged pleasantries. Have a wonderful evening, Eliana. I turned and walked away. My legs felt like they might give out, but I kept moving, straight to the bar. I ordered a gin and tonic with hands that trembled just enough to make the ice clink against the glass. I took a long sip. The burn helped steady me. Behind me, I could feel her staring. I didn't turn around, because the bomb had been dropped, and now we wait for the fallout. I stayed at the bar for what felt like forever, but was probably only 10 minutes, nursing my gin and tonic, watching the room from the corner of my eye. Eliana had moved away from the group. She was standing alone now, near one of the tall windows, her empty glass forgotten in her hand. Her face was pale, her posture rigid. Every few seconds, she'd glance toward Oliver, who was still deep in conversation with one of the managing partners, completely oblivious. Then, she broke. She set the glass down on a passing tray, grabbed her clutch, and walked quickly toward the exit, not running, but close. Several heads turned. Oliver noticed immediately. His conversation faltered. He excused himself mid-sentence and followed her out, his steps hurried, but trying to look casual. I counted to 30 in my head. Then I excused myself from the bar, smiled politely at the bartender, and slipped into the hallway after them. The corridor outside the ballroom was quieter, thick carpet muffling footsteps, dim sconces casting soft gold light. I could hear voices around the corner, near the coat check. Oliver's voice, low, urgent. Eliana's, higher, strained, cracking at the edges. I moved slowly, heels silent on the carpet, stopping just before the turn where I could hear but not be seen. She knows something, Eliana was saying. I don't know what, but she knows. She mentioned October 20th. She knows about the arrest. That's impossible, Oliver shot back. It was sealed. Nobody knows except the firm, Eliana cut in. Except whoever made it disappear. Maybe someone talked. Nobody talked, but he didn't sound convinced. His voice had that thin edge I'd heard when he was lying to himself. Then, a long silence. Have you been accessing the Langford files? Oliver asked finally. His tone had gone very quiet, very careful. Eliana's breath hitched. Why would I have you? She hesitated. Then her voice broke. I needed to know. I needed to know if what you did was only on Langford or somewhere else. I needed to know how bad the exposure was. Another silence. So, yes, she whispered. I looked. I looked at the settlement docs. I looked at the billing records. And Oliver, there are holes, big ones. Anyone who looks closely is going to see the hours are padded, fabricated. Jesus, Oliver breathed. And if they look at Langford, they might look at everything else. And if they look at everything else, I get it. His voice snapped, low and sharp. I get it. I was trying to help, Eliana said, and now she was crying. Soft, ugly sobs. I was trying to figure out how deep we were in, because if it's bad, if they find out, I'm done too. My name is on the support docs. I was there when you locked those hours. I felt cold all the way through. This wasn't just a mistake. This wasn't a one-time slip. This was active fraud, conspiracy,
both of them buried so deep there was no clean way out. Oliver tried to steady her. We need to be calm. We need to think. If Amelia knows something, we need to figure out what she knows and how she knows it. Then we can... Can what? Eliana demanded, voice rising. What exactly is your plan, Oliver? Because from where I'm standing, your wife just threatened me in the middle of your firm's holiday gala, and I don't think she was bluffing. I'll talk to her. I'll handle it. Like you've handled everything else? That's not fair. Nothing about this is fair. Eliana was crying openly now. I made one stupid mistake. One. And now my entire career is tied to whether or not your wife decides to burn us both down. I stepped around the corner. They both froze. Eliana's mascara was streaking down her face. Oliver looked like he might be sick, skin gray, eyes wide. Hi. I was just wondering, when were you coming back to dinner, Oliver? They're about to do the raffle. He opened his mouth, closed it, tried again. Amelia. I looked at Eliana directly. You don't look well. Maybe you should go home and rest. Big day tomorrow, I'm sure. She stared at me like I was something unreal. I turned to Oliver. I know everything. The words landed soft, but they hit like a hammer. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. The truth did the work for me. The hallway felt smaller after I said those words.
Oliver's face crumpled, just for a second, then went blank, like he was trying to reboot. Eliana took a shaky step back, clutching her clutch like it could protect her. I didn't yell, I didn't cry, I just stood there, calm as the eye of a storm, and laid it out. Here's what's going to happen. My voice was steady, practiced. I'd rehearsed this part in my head for weeks. Tomorrow morning, Oliver, you're going into the office early. You're going to review every single file Eliana has touched, every single hour you logged on the Langford merger. You're going to assess the damage, exactly how deep it goes. Then you're going to decide whether you confess to the managing partner or live with this hanging over you forever. He stared at me, mouth slightly open. Eliana, I continued, turning to her, you're going to quietly transition to a new opportunity. You'll get a strong reference, a fair severance, and you'll leave without drama. No scenes, no emails, just a clean, professional exit. She wiped at her mascara with trembling fingers. And from now on, Oliver, I said, looking straight into his eyes, you come home at a reasonable hour. No more mysterious Thursdays, no more late-night meetings. You're going to be so transparent I can see through you like glass. Silence stretched between us, thick, heavy. Oliver swallowed. And if I do all that, what happens to us? I paused, let the question hang. Then we figure out if this marriage is worth saving, I said softly. But understand this, Oliver. I'm not the wife you've been avoiding anymore. I'm the one who figured it all out while you thought you were being clever. I'm the one who knows everything now. So if you ever treat me like I'm stupid again, I won't ask questions. I'll just make phone calls. He looked at me like he was seeing me for the first time. Do we understand each other? He nodded once. Yes. Good. I turned and walked back toward the ballroom, heels clicking softly on the carpet. After a moment, Oliver followed. We went back to our table. Margaret, the managing partner's wife, asked if everything was okay. I smiled. Eliana wasn't feeling well. She went home early. The raffle happened. Someone won a weekend spa package. Someone else got a gift card to a steakhouse. Everyone clapped politely. Oliver sat beside me, not eating, not speaking, face gray. I finished my chocolate mousse. It was delicious. 2 days later, Eliana Voss announced she was leaving Grant & Whitaker to pursue new opportunities. The email was polite, professional. She got her severance, her reference, and she walked away quietly. Oliver started coming home at 6 every night, like clockwork. No more Thursdays, no more secrets. 3 weeks after the gala, he went to the managing partner, confessed to the billing irregularities on the Langford merger, offered to make restitution, and accepted a year of probation. His partnership track was delayed, but he kept his job. He didn't mention Eliana's file access. Some things, he said, were better left buried if they didn't need to be dug up. I didn't argue. The marriage might survive this, it might not. But what matters is that I'm no longer the wife who shrinks to fit into someone else's story. I'm the one who learned how to ask the right question at the right time. And sometimes that one quiet question is more powerful than any scream. So tell me in the comments, what would you have whispered to Eliana that night? If this story gave you chills or made you feel a little stronger, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. More stories about women who refuse to stay silent are coming. Thank you for being here with me. Until next time.